All right, guys. So since ASTD is back, like this is actually crazy. It's all the way up to 4K players. I saw it at 5K earlier. I want to give my thoughts on All-Star Tower Defense and what I think is going to happen. Okay. So if you guys don't know, I've been playing ASTD since 2020, which is absolutely crazy to think about. That is like 6 years of gameplay. And we've got a ton of stuff to talk about. So I kind of want to talk about why I think ASTD and I guess ASTDX hasn't really updated a lot. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what I want in the updates. And I'm going to talk about what I think they're going to do, etc. So let's get into it. First up, guys, why hasn't ASTD or ASTDX been updating? I'm going to be honest, guys. I've been talking to the devs for months about this. Some, you know, like contributor type devs, some main devs. And I think the main thing is the game, ASTDX specifically, was really popular in the beginning. And it's kind of, the pipe obviously died off. But I think what people need to realize is that's kind of common for games. A lot of people don't know this about ASTD and ASTDX, and that is ASTD is actually the biggest tower defense game of all time. And I'm not joking about that. There is no game that has as many like casual players as ASTD does. Now you're going to see a lot of games that have higher player counts. And the thing is, they don't have as many years as ASTD does. So the ASTD has a lot of inactive players. And the thing that made ASTD special was it was never really an AFK simulator. Yeah, they had like the time chamber, and I will feel like ASTDX maybe kind of moved a little bit more towards the simulator, but ASTD's player counts have always been lower because it's actual people playing the game and less bots. People used to think that Anime Adventures had more, but the thing is, every time I was watching a YouTuber's videos, All-Star content would always have more views than Anime Adventure content, just because people know All-Star. All-Star is kind of like a brand, and other games don't quite have that built up yet. And All-Star just kind of was the only game on the platform for years, and it just built up this kind of a shadow audience. And I kind of think that's kind of what's bringing the game back today, even with this minor tiny update that we've gotten. So people don't realize that about AST. Look at this, guys, 7.6 billion views, plays. And if you add that in with ASTDX, like the player count is actually crazy. Like the combined is crazy. Add in another billion, we're at like 8 billion. Now, if we take a look at Anime Vanguard's probably the closest competition. Obviously Anime Last Stand is some competition, but I'm not gonna be talking a lot about Anime Last Stand in this video because I have some conflicts of interest and I still do participate in the earnings of that game. So I'm not going to comment on that because I don't think that's fair and I don't want to be biased. So obviously, guys, I'm still involved at least partly in Anime Last Stand as far as earning wise. So keep that in mind. That's kind of like my disclosure, and that's why we're not talking about it as much in this video. But if we take a look at Anime Vanguards, guys, only 1.7 billion visits. So there has been obviously lots more years of Anime All-Star Tower Defense versus Anime Vanguards, but that's kind of the same. Now, even if we take a look at Anime Adventures, all right, another big giant brand on the platform, you're going to see only 2.5 billion visits. So the OG game has 3 times the visits. So what this means is ASTD is a legit brand at this point, and they have so much bigger of like just a wide audience. Now, this audience doesn't necessarily watch all the content, but they're lurking in the backgrounds, and we kind of saw that with the ASTDX release. So I fully think when All-Star Tower Defense or ASTDX re-releases or comes back with like a comeback update, we're going to see a return to form. Now, this return to form might kind of be like the ASTDX spike, where it's going to be insanely high at the beginning and then kind of taper off around that 20K to 30K player mark. And the thing is, that is totally okay because ASTD player counts aren't usually bots. They're usually actual players. And that means a lot more for one, monetization reasons, and number two, if you're a content creator trying to make content on the platform. A lot of these tower defense games now are propped up by time chambers that are OP, by like macro farms, and that makes the player counts look really high, but the thing is the audience isn't actually that big. Take for example SpongeBob Tower Defense. That's kind of why we got the SpongeBob drip on today. If you guys don't know, I have a second channel called Blam Sponge. Honestly, that channel is absolutely popping off. We just hit 100,000 subscribers. I'm having a little bit of drama with YouTube though. That's part of the reason I've been posting as much, is YouTube is kind of screwing me over, and they're not really being helpful support wise. But yeah, we did hit 100K on the Blam Sponge channel. But you might see this, guys, 6,000, 10,000 views, and you can kind of look at the player count of the game. It was like 30K over the weekend. Admin abuses are big, etc. But you're gonna notice like 19K players, and I'm only getting like 6K views, rather than I'm seeing ASTD creators. Like my last video got like 27,000 views, and ASTD only has 4,000 players, so way less players. A lot of this is because all-star players are real players. Other games are like more like AFK players. Now, one of the ways you can take a look at AFK players in a game is you can take a look at their graph. Now, if you see a graph where the peaks aren't that high, like on the hourly, you like see this peak, obviously there's real players coming and going. But if you see a graph that's pretty flat, that's almost a telltale sign of there being a lot of macroers in the game. Basically, the player count is artificially inflated by people leaving their PCs on. It's not people actually playing the game. But if we take a look at a game with a lot of real players on, one where it doesn't incentivize you to AFK as much, like All-Star Tower Defense, you're going to see these big gaps up and down, basically based on time zones. You can see it's massive at 10 a.m. and then at the next 10 a.m. it's another massive spike. This is mainly because it's literally 2,000 real people logging in rather than 2,000 people leaving on their accounts. And honestly, this is probably more than 2,000 people, which is another thing you can see in visit counts. I like to look at visit counts because that kind of shows you how many people are actually playing the game. 785,000. That's insane. If we take a look at anime vanguards, you are going to be surprised, anime vanguards, at how close they are compared to the player count. Look at this, guys. Anime vanguards is only at 2.6 million with 10 times the players. So this, you would expect it to be at 7.5 million based on the player count difference. But no, it's only 2.6 because of all of the AFK players in the game. So All-Star Tower Defense has like a real fan base. So why hasn't ASTD been updating, or even ASTDX? Again, part of it is what I was talking about before. There was a lot of people that clicked off after it wasn't updating as frequently as some of the other titles like Anime Last Stand and Anime Vanguards. And of course, what happened was it was kind of a death spiral. So as the devs saw their player count going down, and honestly revenue too going down, because when a game first releases, that's when you're going to be making the bulk of your money as a dev. All right, during release and during updates, depending on how good your updates are. So they saw their revenue tanking, they saw their players tanking, and they didn't realize that they had a legitimate brand on their hands. Now, I think what they didn't realize was everybody who played All-Star jumped on the ASTX release. And then it kind of went back down to this normal player count that ASTD had. So yes, they got that giant spike because everybody wanted to play ASTD again, but it then leveled off to the people who were actually legit interested in playing ASTD long term. And it kind of leveled out at the same amount that ASTD, the normal version, was getting, the OG version. So I think the real problem with that is that's kind of demotivating as a dev. And frankly, I think that is probably the biggest reason why we might see the OG version come back, is because the devs should realize that the OG one had just so much more value because it's been there for so long. Now, how are the devs not updating? There's another theory I have, and that is there's something to do with the copyright license. If you guys don't know, the OG ASTD has a lot of copyright characters. You see Naruto looks a little weird, Goku looks a little weird. Some of these characters look weird. A lot of the One Piece characters look weird, and that is because they were contacted by either the license holder, or they felt the need and they felt like they were going to be contacted by the like IP holder that will tell them to either take down the game or maybe sue them, etc. Now, if we take a look at the new ASTDX, they don't have that problem. Now, the question is, why doesn't ASTDX have that problem? They might actually have a real license for ASTDX. And people don't know this about Roblox, is you can actually get official anime licenses now. However, traditionally on the current Roblox IP catalog, you can only have like one IP at a time. All right. Now the thing is, ASD is such a big game. Maybe they partnered with Crunchyroll to get a more general license. Obviously, we don't know the details about this, but you can make a totally approved Blue Lock game, a totally approved Strangers game, Twilight game. There's a lot of games you can make that can be totally approved Rimuru Games totally approved with no copyright issues. So this kind of leads me to believe that it's possible that ASTDX has licenses. Now, they also had that giant Demon Slayer update, and I know Fruit probably has a Demon Slayer license or agreement of some sort, because I know other games with Demon Slayer content were threatened, but ASTD never had an issue. So the reason it could be updating is maybe there's an issue with the license. That's definitely a possibility, or maybe the license is too expensive that they can't afford to pay it. I'm not honestly sure about that. All right, I also have talked to some contributors on the game, and they have told me that all of the assets are ready. They kind of just have to be added into the game. Now, I actually have talked to devs that said that there's actually a bunch of 7 stars ready to be released in ASTD that are already done. Fruit or Navy just needs to add them. Now, this was years ago, but I assume the files are still there. They just have to actually add them to the game. I think I might have made a video on that a long time ago. Now, I've also talked to devs about ASTDX, and apparently there is an entire ASTDX Halloween update already completed. It just has to be scripted into the game. The models, animations, VFX are already done. Now, unfortunately, it's not really Halloween anymore, so I don't know what they're going to do with that. I heard there might even be a trailer for that somewhere, maybe some sort of lost media. So this kind of brings me to the question, what do I think they're going to do with ASTD? Now, honestly, I don't know if they're going to touch the ASTD main game. I've seen Navy and them playing it. I hope they do. Because if they update the OG ASTD, I'm gonna be honest, it's probably gonna be way more hype than them updating ASTD. All right. Now, what do I want them to do? I want them to redo this lobby. All right. The problem with a lot of these games is they make the lobbies insanely complicated. Right now in this lobby, you gotta run around to find stuff. All right, yeah, you can click here and there, but you need to make the lobby dead simple. What I loved, guys, and what I think the OG ASTD did really well was it is a really small, condensed lobby. And it was easy to find everything, okay? In this lobby, you're like clicking stuff, you're running around, it's just too much going on, and frankly, it's barely anime themed. Like, I mean, the quality of the models are fine, but like, it doesn't feel like ASTD. And the thing is, you kind of still got to bring that nostalgia. I like the ASTX lobby. It kind of brings some of that. So I really think they need to redo the lobby, and I think they need to compress it. All right. We don't need a separate World 1 and World 2. We can kind of bring them together now. Okay. There's no reason for them to be separate anymore. Let's bring them together. If they want to add an additional world, that's fine, but let's bring them together. Let's simplify, let's streamline. We can keep all of the game modes. That's all totally cool, but let's streamline the game and really work on 2 things. 1, the new user experience, making that exciting. So think of people wanting to replay after their account got banned. Maybe make a fun pathway for them to get back up to World 2, get back up into the content. One of the features I liked, and I recommended for ALS to add, and the added is the guidebook. And I know Ultimate Tower Defense also has an amazing guidebook. So I think a guidebook could be a cool addition to ASTD. Basically a set of quests you could do as a new player that would get you to a point where you could start beating raids, etc. And it would tell you exactly what to do. This originally comes from incremental games, where incremental games would have a thing on the top that tell you exactly what to do. Some simulators also had that as well. So I think that'd be a pretty cool. And of course, guys, I want them to start adding in bi-weekly updates again. 1 hype new unit, maybe a few other cool ones. All right, obviously there's a cool features they could do with that, like they could do maybe like a different upgrade path, stuff like that. I've been trying to get that in the game for a long time. Different upgrade paths could be really cool as maybe a new type of unit. I think bringing back PvP, etc. could be cool. Maybe bringing in some rewards for the ASTDX players, you know, something like that. Maybe somehow combining the 2 games could be cool. Now, I think the main thing that's going to stop this from happening is the devs' motivation. So we need to figure out a way to motivate the devs to bring back the game, okay? The devs need to have some incentive. Now, we've already done a great job as a community to start bringing back the game by increasing the player counts. So I think any developer would see this like basically a dead game that went from 200 players to 4,000 players as a good signal. And the thing is, this is without any major updates at all. If they have a real full-on update, they're going to really be able to lock in the new players. And I'm sure everybody will want to hop back on that bandwagon and try to catch some of that magic again, especially if it's an OG ASTD. Now, they could decide to keep updating ASTDX. That's definitely a possibility. But if you guys don't know, I think the whole community is way more partial to the OG ASTD. traits, blah, blah, blah. It's all been overplayed, okay? We want the OG, we want the good vibes, and we want the hype characters, man. We get all of those combined. We want the YouTuber code unit. Those were obviously a W for me, and honestly really brained the community and really gave it incentives for YouTubers to play the game, because if you do well enough, you get a YouTuber code unit, and that'll get you a lot of subs, get you a lot of attention, etc. Love cool stuff like that. So I'm very excited, guys. Hopefully the devs can see this as motivation. Obviously, guys, there's been a few devs that I've been working with, talking to, really trying to get on it. Obviously, I've been DMing Fruit, trying to get him back on board. And of course, I got to give a big shout out to the man, the myth, the legend. He's been posting for so many days. T-Boy, man, an absolute goat. He's worked on code units of mine, etc. Absolutely W guy. 67 days. He's been waiting for the ASTD update. I'm seeing Fruit online. I'm seeing Famutsu, guys, one of the OG devs. Shout out Famutsu, absolute goat. This guy absolutely cooks. Big shout to him. And yeah, let's go bring back ASTD. I want to also give a big shout to all the content creators, Administration TV, Fortnite God. Thank you guys so much for uploading content on ASTD and really bringing back the OG vibes. Also, I'm excited to see what World 3 is going to be like in Anime Last Stand. And I'll catch you guys later, and I'll keep you guys posted on any more updates. And I'm going to probably do a New to Pro update on this. We'll probably go do, I think I already started the New to Pro. We're gonna finish it up or continue it, try to get a 7-star or something, and maybe get some prestige. And I'll catch you guys in the next one, and see you on ASTD, baby.